Well, I came out earlier this morning thinking that I would get a little bit done and I was going to focus on the compost. But unfortunately, when I put the fork into the compost, it was like rock. So I'm going to have another go now. The temperature's lifted a couple of degrees and we'll see what it's like. Well, I think if I can get through the surface, which is frozen lumps, I'll be able to get it in the barrow, at least move it to its destination. Underneath the surface it does seem sufficiently soft. So let's give it a go. Now, before I start moving the compost, I've got a bit of a confession to make. Now, for a long time I've been covering my beds up, putting compost on them and putting a cover on them. And I always thought that was the right thing to do. To put a cover on would, in my view, stop the nutrients from the compost leaching out in the rain. I started to get a bit of a clue that that might not be the case when I heard Jake. And Jake's a gentleman who takes part in a podcast that occasionally I feature on, which is called Digging the Dirt. And Jake said the important thing about no dig and compost on top of the beds is that the nutrients just don't leach away. And that's sort of registered. And then the other day I was watching one of my garden heroes, Charles Dowding. And Charles made it very clear that as far as rain on compost is concerned, it doesn't leach away the nutrients from the compost, and that isn't how the process works. It's not the same as fertilizer. So there's two people who know what they're talking about, and I have to say, I tip my hat to them. I think I got it wrong. So the only benefit I can think of that covering my beds has is that the black membrane that I put over the top does attract the heat when the sun comes out and probably helps to warm the soil a little bit. But one thing I am absolutely sure about now is it doesn't stop the rain leaching away the nutrients, and I stand corrected. So with that, I'm going to get on and move some. That video that Charles does on compost is about 4 common misconceptions about compost. It's fantastic. I'll link it above for you. It's worth a watch. If you do pop over to see Charles's video, let him know I sent you. Who knows, I might get another subscriber. So this is where I had the sprouts, and even though it's cold, it's winter and the ground's hard, I've got 2 lots of cat mess in the bed. So I'm going to hook it out. It's probably rock hard, and then I'm going to cover over. But it just shows getting the nets on these beds as early as I can does prevent me putting my hand on something I really don't want to. So as soon as it warms up, I'll be doing that. Okay, let's get rid of these and get this compost on the top. One of the things that Charles does point out is that you don't really need too much depth in your compost. He goes into that in some detail. I'll let you watch, but this is probably going to be almost enough. I think I might put one more barrow on, but I won't be able to spread it yet. It's just too chunky and too clumpy. Until it thaws out, it's just not going to work. I'm pretty sure, like all allotment holders and gardeners, you have a little spot where you dump things, and that's on top of my other compost bin. So I've got to do a bit of cleaning up before I can get at the next heap. Right, this one goes on top, and then that bed is just ready for some warmer weather. Wasn't too bad. I try not to dump too much stuff for later on. So this bin was never full. I think it got to about half full, and as you can see, there's about, I don't know, 8 inches of compost thickness there. So that's the last of it. I've got a little bit left in there, just the edges, which are a bit frozen, maybe a barrow. And of course I need both these bays empty now, because I filled the other bays with fresh horse manure, and the next load has got to have somewhere to go, and it's going to go in these two. So this is the last one. I've just got to decide where I'm going to put it, and that'll be it for new compost for this year. So what are the priorities? Well, there's a bit here where I've still got parsnips in the ground, so I think I'm going to dump a load there that I can pull over when everything thaws out. I didn't quite get to the end of the old leek bed, so I've got a little section there. I'll pop a bit there, I think, ready for when it thaws. And then I've got this bed, which at the moment I can't see me getting the celeriac out, so I'm gonna probably put a whole pile there ready to drag across there, and I can do that while the vegetables are in, that's not a problem. And the last bed not covered is this one, and I've got a bit of a repair to do because that wooden slat at the back was rotten and has come away, so I need to find a fix for that, but nothing to stop me putting a pile on top of here. And I think that's it then. I certainly did all of that one, and I did all the middle one there with the leeks that have not come to much. So yeah, I think I'm good to go once I've got that compost moved to those areas. So I think that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the morning. So that's it. A full cycle of composting gone full circle. Last year's horse manure decomposed and now moved around the plot. And I managed to get a pile in with the leek bed, 2 piles to pull across where the parsnips are going to come out. Got a couple of piles in there for when the swede come out. Even managed one in the end of the celeriac bed. And then of course I've got this bed over here which has got 2 piles and 2 barrow loads in that one. And that is pretty much the compost moved into its positions for this year. And I'll show you what's left of those compost bins, which were deeper than I thought they were going to be. Surprising, I must have dug down probably 6 inches before I made those, and that's worked out well because that means I've got that much more compost in there. And as you can see, that one is absolutely cleaned out, as is that chap there. And these two will be ready for the next deliveries of horse manure. And what I get for the rest of the season will probably just fill those 2 up, and that'll be it, ready to decompose for the following year. Squelchy underfoot, and the pond's a definite no, but I'm going to get on with the path today, I think. So a bit of polythene laying. My carpet laying skills have never been that impressive, but there isn't much need for accuracy here. The first thing is to take a little bit of the surface off, get a bit of a channel down by the sides of the bed so that I can tuck the polythene down and try and get a bit of a sharp edge in on the left hand side. Anything that I take off the top is going on here. The level's coming along nicely now for that area, and I'm just filling in the little divots and holes, and it won't be too long before I've got a flat surface, and then hopefully if the grass grows through it'll be easy to mow. So on with the path. Well, the rain seems to be settling in, which is making it pretty difficult. So I did have aspirations to put polythene down here today, but I think I'm probably not going to get there. This path is leveling up nicely. I've been putting in bits of clay on the side just to stabilize the edge, see if I can form an edge. And I probably need to take just a small amount out of the corner of there as well. But this end's come together really well. I've taken quite a lot of material out, and if I can put a paver in there with a piece of wood behind it, then that will serve as a complete retainer for the gravel. I've got a bit of a hard rock in here. I think I'm probably going to need to hook that out and get that corner a little bit better. And then a piece of wood probably along the side of the patio, which will retain it nicely and probably look quite nice. So that's come off quite well. And I've had a little bit of surplus soil, which I've been taking up to the top of the plot. You may remember if you watched my earlier videos, I'm struggling with this area at the top because the pavers just keep falling over, and I decided to take them out. And if I put this extra soil that I'm obtaining into this sort of lower level, I can get it reasonably level, and then I've got some turf which I can take right up to the walkway, and that turf came from where I created the large bed down at the bottom of the plot. So things are shaping up, but it's certainly that horrible drizzle, misty rain. So I think I'll just finish off with that edge and call it a day. But it's been good. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.